Welcome. My name is Adam Henderson. I am a competitive Scrabble player that I have two expert norms, and I believe if I could get one more by having a good showing at Nationals in Cedar Rapids this year, and just improving my rating a little bit more from where it is right now, I should be able to get that third norm and be an official NASPA expert, and I'd be quite proud to have that EX badge on Woogles. Tomorrow, that would be 6:30. There's going to be a big match between Nigel Richards and Adam Logan. I'll put the link for this in my comments for this video. And so we've got a feast of Scrabble. I think that was the word Josh Greenway used, or it was a term somebody used. A feast of Scrabble next month. We're starting out with this. Tomorrow we have this Wespa Word Wars of Nigel Richards versus Adam Logan. That should be very interesting to watch. Excuse me. Let me pause for a second. Sorry, I just ate dinner, so a little bit of mucus. I'll try to pause whenever I need to do that. I do have a game for you guys. I went to a tournament recently. But before I show you that, let me finish my thought. Yeah, this is going to be a Collins game. I kind of wish there was more. No offense to Collins, but no shade on Collins, but I really wish there was more YouTube and Twitch NWL content. It seems like it seems like Will Anderson is the biggest Scrabble channel out there, and he seems to be very heavily in favor of being just a CSW channel. And I don't know. I'm not really on great terms with Will Anderson. We're not on like bad terms either, but he's just not. Me and him aren't friends. This is what I'm trying to say, and I don't know. I just get this bad feeling that because Will Anderson's very powerful in the Scrabble community right now, and I have this bad feeling that there's like some sort of like collusion to destroy NWL. But maybe I'm being a little too pessimistic, but NWL is very special to me, very important to me that it has exists and people can play it. NWL, for those who don't know, is the North American lexicon that most people in the U.S. play, and CSW is the international lexicon. But anyway, so then tomorrow is I guess a 7-day tournament or best of 7, or maybe they're gonna play 7 games regardless of whether somebody wins 4 games or not. And anyway, this should be very interesting because these, despite what I said about Collins, I would recommend, even if you're a fan of NWL like I am, I'd recommend watching Collins content for no other reason than the Collins players like Nigel Richards, Adam Logan, and a few other names. I mean, Josh Sokol. These truly are the best Scrabble players, and you can learn a lot about strategy from watching them. And they're a step above what I would say the best NWL players are right now. And it's kind of hard to compare the two because you don't usually see a battle between NWL players and Collins players. Maybe I'll direct a tournament where the NWL's players are forced to play Collins players. I think that would be interesting. It could be every other game you play the lexicon that you don't usually play. I doubt. I think it would be interesting, but I doubt that would get enough people to sign up for it to be worth the time and effort for me to organize that. I am a Scrabble director. I just haven't directed in a while. Yeah, Alec, if you wanna put where the game starts, the timestamp, you can put that in the comments. I don't mind, but I do appreciate people that stay and listen to my first part of the video where I rant a little bit about Scrabble and my thoughts. But yeah, these should be interesting to watch. And even if I wish there was more NWL content as far as live streamed content, because I'm a sucker for it. And I encourage everybody to watch as much Scrabble content, especially the live big events, as you can. I was just gonna say, don't not watch just because you're an NWL player. Don't not watch CSW content, because it really can be enjoyable to watch because of how high the level of play is. And also, I personally, I haven't gotten tripped up. I watch CSW content all the time. I haven't gotten tripped up and accidentally played a Collins word yet. I'm sure that'll happen eventually, but I've been watching a lot of Collins content, and it hasn't happened yet, so I'm not as afraid of that happening as I used to be. We'll take before I start the game. We'll take a look at the roster for Cedar Rapids. So we have the Feast of Scrabble. I believe this year it'll be the NASPA Nationals comes first. So this is the NASPA Nationals, and then shortly after that, so NASPA Nationals is from 717 to 723, and then Word Cup, which is the WIPO Nationals. That's the rival. There's two main organizations. There's three if you count COCO. The COCO is CSW only. But the two main rivaling Scrabble organizations in existence right now, which both have big national tournaments, and are WIPO and NASPA. And so we have the NASPA tournament first. And also we have the 4th of July tournament, which I didn't mention, but that's this one here. That's a big tournament held in was it New York, Albany, New York? And you can see some of the big names here. I guess these are all CSW players, because I think it's a Bob. It has something to do with Bob Lynn. I guess he's some sort of rich guy that really encourages North American players to play CSW. And so he's contributing a large sum of his money to prize pools for CSW. So he does that in some tournaments. In tournaments that he does that, I think the stream, Josh Greenway has agreed to stream only CSW content for those tournaments, which, I mean, we need another rich guy for NWL, but as it is right now, I guess the situation is understandable. If I've offended anybody with what I said, first of all, I have high functioning autism, and I don't think I've said anything that offensive, so I'm pretty much going to ignore you if you've taken offense to anything, but feel free to leave a comment. I'll probably just delete it. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I was going to look at the roster before I start showing this game. I mean, this game was against Carl Johnson, and even though I guess I shouldn't reveal the result, even though it was a good game, uh, it's not something that I feel particularly excited about reviewing this particular game. I just felt like it was kind of everything. Oh, well, you'll see. So these two players at the bottom don't qualify, and they should be removed by July 1st. So I will be the bottom seed. Um, and being the bottom seed, I am expected to win 11.3 games. I feel like if there's any tournament that I should be easily be able to meet my expectation, it's this one. But at the same time, I understand that uh, 11 games doesn't seem like a lot. But with this incredibly strong field, it could end up being challenging depending on how things go. I do not. One thing I do not expect is I do not expect to come in like eighth place or higher in a field of this kind of field of 49 of the top Scrabble players in the U.S. I don't expect to be in like cash prize winning position. I know there are class prizes. If I play out of my mind, I could win a class prize, but those are always like $200-$300, where the trip itself is well over $2,000 for me and my husband to fly up. So, I mean, $200-$300 is nice, but it's not something I'm gonna be like, oh, I really need to get that $200-$300 class prize. No, that doesn't matter. I care about getting that last expert norm so I can have that EX and have that kind of clout on Woogles. That particular will feel particularly good for me if I can get that. So I've wasted enough time. We'll take a look at this game again. Like these games, I played in this one-day tournament in Portland. I do want to review the games, but at the same time, it's not like the most exciting games ever. So I went first in my first game against Carl Johnson. And you'll get to see the game. I will, after the game, just see. There's this popular new feature where it tells you how many mistakes you made and what your rating should be based on how well you played. I guess the only thing that I would caution when using that is don't get too obsessed with it, because there is a possibility that that thing could be inaccurate. So this has to be the right move, right, Minch? 34. And it is the right move. And he plays by Gwen. For 69. That only plays one place for 69. That's there. This is not a good second rack. Minch was actually a pretty good rack. But V by itself is like negative 6.5. I think that's what it is. That's negative 5.7. Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate. I would round it to 6. in my opinion, the V, depending on the situation, the V can be even worse than the Q. Let's see. Um, I just played Venge here. I need to set the rack here. Oh, it's saying I should play Coffee, leaving GV. That probably isn't right because of GV is like absolutely abysmal. It's actually not as bad as I thought. -10 is not as bad as I thought it would be, but still that means that this play equity is only like 18 points, and Venge, which I played for 9. Um, the point of this play is to keep the board open. It's very much my style. Before any of you people who swear by Macondo, I, I don't use Macondo for two reasons. One is it's not very interesting on a live channel like this. Well, it's not live, but even recorded, it's not very interesting. It takes a long time, and you have to watch this command line interface. It's just not a good look. And the second thing is like, I feel like Macondo really is programmed to be very defensive, and I'm just not a defensive player, so I'm not going to necessarily agree with all of Macondo's defensive plays. This is actually probably going to be interesting enough just to see what this particular position, what Macondo thinks. So I'm going to take a look. I'm going to pause and take a look. For those who are more familiar with Macondo, let me know how many iterations is good to stop at, because I really just don't know. I'm going to probably stop at like 20,000 or something like that. My goals for Cedar Rapids, my expectations. I mean, I don't really like the word expectation because it's more of a vacation than it is. I mean, my goal is definitely to do well enough that I can get that third norm, so that would mean I'd have to at least win 11 games. I might need to win one or two more than 11 games. So I guess that's my goal and expectation. I feel like it's pretty low expectation, but it may end up being as low as it is. It may end up still being difficult just because of how strong the field is. Another goal is to try to not, because I think it might be part of being autistic, but I have trouble with self-control, and I end up playing phonies a lot because I lose self-control and I just make a play even if I'm not sure whether a word is valid. I think for most of my Scrabble career, that's not been too much of an issue. But once you do get to the highest level where you're playing Division 1 and Nationals, more often than not, your phonies are going to be challenged off. So my second goal is to, especially if your phony is like 4 or 5 letters long, which I do play a lot of phony 4 and 5 letter words. So I guess the main thing is that's my goal, is to try and limit. I mean, I don't want to play phony bingos either, but I feel like that's a little bit more forgivable than playing phony 3, 5, 4 or 5 letter words. I mean, I would certainly hope I wouldn't play a phony 3, but anything's possible. You're gonna see some pretty bad mistakes, not just by me, but by my opponent, and this series of 6 games that I played at Portland recently. But like, I guess importantly is another goal is to have fun, and I found that the games, the big tournaments where I've allowed myself to have fun, it's hard to explain because this idea of fun is kind of a nebulous concept because I do want to win games too. And winning games definitely is fun, so it's hard to explain. But I want to enjoy my vacation, and I don't want to. Well, I guess what I'm really trying to say is if I don't do well, I don't want that to ruin having an enjoyable vacation, especially one that I spend a lot of money on. So it would be nice if this thing would explain why its top options were what it is. So it still likes coffee, leaving GV. So the thing that I'm most concerned is the win percentage here. I still like my play of Venge. Um, the problem with coffee is it's not even that defensive of a play. It's because you're hanging 2 E's, and the E is a very good letter. And there's only 8 E's left after you play your 2 E's, and you're keeping GV, which means you're very unlikely to bingo. So this I kind of agree that my win percentage is kind of going to be low no matter what I play. But I think coffee and cough just isn't it. Let's take a look at some of these other. These sim plays look an often an awful lot like the equity plays, so it also likes just F. I guess my concern here is this S is going to be available, but EOGV, I want to get rid of one of those 2 tiles, and Venge gets rid of both of them. So I think this just reinforces my belief that Mikondo is still kind of hot garbage, because I do think Venge is the best play here. And it would take a lot to convince me otherwise. Let me try to explain why I like Venge here. So EFFO, even if I don't hit a bingo, I think this does hit. I mean, it's not going to hit a lot of bingos, but it's going to hit more bingos more often than keeping a G and a V. But more importantly, the F's double very well together. So if you look at the letter F, which actually I think is an undervalued letter, a lot of people don't like the F. I think it's quite fine. I would even value it more than -2 here. But if you double the F as a leave, I think it's going to actually increase the value. No, it's actually going to decrease it a little bit. But the F actually doubles really nice. And so, anyway, I get rid of the V and the G. I actually spent a lot of time on this move. I get rid of the V and the G. I create a hook which keeps the board open, which is very important to my style of play. I create an A hook. So even though I don't have an A myself, this guarantees that the board's going to be open. Even though you can make bingos hitting the S, they're not going to be the most desirable bingos to hit. So it's probably just going to stay open for a while, because if you do bingo to the S, you're not doubling the word, and you're opening a triple lane. Um, One thing, well, you'll see later in the game. But anyway, I like my play of Venge. If you are going to tell me that you like Coffee, Cough, F, or some other play besides Venge, feel free to put your comment, especially if you're a high rated player. But I may not respond to it because I don't like to. I don't like to use YouTube comments as like a big debate. I tend to be pretty strong in my beliefs, no matter what they are, on any subject. And yeah, I'm not going to be pushed around. And but if you have an opinion, feel free. I won't delete your comment, but uh, I'm probably not going to agree with you. Well, I won't say anything nasty to you. All right. I will play this. I made my case for Venge, I feel like, pretty well. Maybe I could have made it better, but it is what it is. He plays Iraq. So now he is, in his own words, Carl said he felt like he was in the driver's seat this game. Iraq definitely puts him in the driver's seat, going up by 77 points. Let's see what my next rack is. Is Reify. So I didn't take a picture of any of these games. So this must have been my play of Reify for 24, 22. If he is, yeah, I missed the Y hook on Minch, which is totally kind of unforgivable because I knew Minchie. So all of these Y hook plays. Officer, I think maybe it is with three S's out and a blank out, maybe not the best. Because he's a lot more likely to hit that S hook than I am after I play Officer. So, okay. And then, okay. Anyway, I played Reify here. He gets a terrible rack after Iraq and plays Uvula. And he plays it for 9. So he probably doesn't have the A. Okay. Yeah, Fopco's come down for 37. So now I'm actually after he had to get out of that terrible rack situation, I'm actually not doing too bad after Fop. So this is why you never lose hope, even against incredibly scary players like Carl Johnson. Cred comes down for 24. And then finally, I see. I actually probably saw that I could have hooked the Y after I played Reify. So I saw that Minch took the Y hook, and I was annoyed at myself, and then I drew the other Y and played neatly, which he doesn't hold because he's Carl Johnson. And then he plays Badge for 34. So saying I should play Erie. I definitely do not want to get rid of all 3 E's. But there are more vowels than There are more vowels than I should have been comfortable with whatever I played here. I played just V. Even though after FOP and neatly, I'm only down maybe 48 points. That is still kind of like being down a bingo, especially when I'm not going to score too much on this particular move. So what I was doing with V was I wanted to keep my lanes open. This may not be the best move, but it's at least not a terrible move, especially if you are considering the EIORS is such a strong leave. And you consider that I strongly prefer a certain very open and aggressive type of game. Okay, so this is broken, so I need to refresh it. How do I send too many requests in a short amount of time? It makes no sense. Okay, whatever. We gotta keep going. uh, so V was the play. Yeah, there's something going on with cross tables. I don't know what this is. How, how is this sending too many requests in a short amount of time? Okay. He plays Owlet for 34. Okay, so I didn't see. I was looking for bingos to the ED, but this actually took me a while um, to get to this point where I'm actually in a decent position. Um, so I didn't see these plays, which are clearly best, but I played erotics here. He plays key for 37. And so score check, he's still up. He's still up 45 points, but I'm in a good position, especially if I draw well after erotics and the S is still there. And I think I did draw decently well here. So I did play wash. He plays juniored, and I held this play because I felt like this didn't look like a real word. And I came close to challenging it because I was like, haven't I seen this word before? And it was phony. And then I wanted to challenge it, but I had self control because I knew I was playing Carl Johnson. I think eventually, in the end, I was like thinking about it more and more. I was like, actually, maybe I did see it and it was valid. And at that point, I was like unsure. And so at that point, just the fact that Carl Johnson played it made me think it was valid. And it is valid. It means to assist a more senior lawyer, which I was thinking of like I was thinking of more in the terms of like academics, like major, but I guess that's what it means. Whatever. Let's see. See if I can find out what that leave was. No, it's still gonna block me from you. Okay, I really want to see if I can find out. I forget even what the leave was. Oh, it was ORESIES. Yeah, so this is a pretty strong leave. I think it's mostly because of the S, because the S by itself is like 8 or 9 points. I think it's going to say 8 points, but it's not always. It's actually 8.5. A lot of times, it's actually better to value the S as 9 points rather than 8 points. So it's not easy to value a letter at like zero point 0.5. So as a practical concern, if you're considering different plays and you're comparing the equity, I would value the S as at least 9 points. And as a beginner or an intermediate player, it may not even be a bad idea to value it as like 10 points. So that there's that. And it actually, I'm still learning on how to use setups, but the case up S is actually extremely valuable because you can, it's so easy to make a setup play in the end game. If both blanks are gone, you have the last S. That will come into play pretty soon on my channel. This was my rack. There's no bingo, and I played. I played a bout, which this rack is good enough that a play like ab is tempting, but you have to consider, like, after I make a bingo on row 14, he's gonna hit me hard back on either one of those triples that I'm opening. So a bout is actually pretty good here because I'm setting up a marginal lane to the A that if I hit it just right, that's going to really help me. And he plays max 448. And I actually hadn't seen this play until after he hit his clock and it was my turn. Sometimes you don't, it's actually best that way if you don't see your very high scoring bingo. I wrote my rack as in parts. I think I was trying to find, I'm going to close my condo. I was trying to find the 7 in here, so I'll just, out of curiosity, let's see what the 7 was. Oh, this is not what I was looking for. Yeah, Spirant. I think I did find Spirant, but that doesn't play here. But yeah, shortly after he hit his clock, I pretty much immediately just found Spartina, and it's I think he was almost held, and then he said nice play, and then he kind of realized that he was in trouble in this game because now I'm up 359 to his 340, and there's one tile left in the bag, and I actually am going to have really good tiles after this draw. And his play is just not going to cut it. He plays Olean, which I'm sure is his best play. Let's see if I can infer his last two tiles. Let's say he has an S and a D. Yeah. He still has to play Olean as his best play. And then I have this. I played Azoded, but I actually didn't see I have days for even more. But I was just happy to win the game. I played Azoded. If Azoded got blocked, I was gonna make. I told Carl after the game that I was gonna make this play uh, of Zootic, which Azutic is probably a word. Or I think, yeah, I was going to play Azutic. And he said, he just looks at me, that's not a word. I said, oh. Yeah, I was going to play Azutic, which he would have challenged off. So I'm glad I didn't have to play Azutic and lose the game. Yeah, crazy game. Let's see. What did he do? He plays odds somewhere for 15. Actually, so now he plays odds. He gets 4. So the final score is I won 405 to 392. I'm not sure where that 1 point, whether I made a mistake in entering in the plays somewhere or whether he made a scoring mistake. Probably he might have made a scoring mistake, but that 1 point didn't matter in this game. So, yeah. That was my game with Carl Johnson. I was very happy, and it gives me a lot of confidence to beat a player of his caliber. And so, if you watched this whole video, thank you. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking the video. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And subscribe to my channel. I am trying to grow my channel, and if you have constructive advice on how I can do better, I'll put it down in the comments, but do consider that I'm autistic, so there's only so much I can do. We'll put it that way. Thanks. Take care.